know. I'm sorry about my English. It's not the best, but I think I will handle it.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'm a big fan of all of your work. Okay, so well, let's start from the beginning because I mean, I could literally talk to you all day about this film, but where did this idea come from of doing this like, three-part fable about the indigenous across these, several timelines start? Where did this idea start?
I think I've been working with this kind of non-actors, non-professional actors since I have started this idea about making films. So I'm used to travel far away from cities and traffic lights and banks. And then I discovered people around me, around crossing the roads and small towns, people that don't not even know how to read, never went to school. They be very in a very isolated way. So, but I really started thinking about this special film just right after I finished Jauja, the previous film I made. I was keep thinking about those two natives that steal the horse of Viggo Mortensen, and I thought I should make more sequences with these two guys. And then I started thinking about, okay, I should go straight and make a film about these natives, indigenous people, communities, whatever, how you want to call them. I mean, for me, it's just people, regular people. But in this special case, they live like in a very kind of community, isolated from the rest of us. So I start thinking who represent them in films, and I immediately go to the Westerns, Hollywood Westerns, US Westerns. And since even if I love Western, I realize that half of them this represent the natives as they probably would like to be shown in the big screen. So I start just search and I start traveling around. I received two fellowships, from one from Harvard and the other one from New York, the New York Film Festival. And then I spent some time in US with my kids and my ex-wife, and then I start traveling. I asked Viggo Mortensen, hello, Vigo. Do you know anyone who lives in a reservation here in US? Because I think my issues, my curiosity is in those areas, those people, and I should travel there and start watching some of them. And he immediately sent me to Pine Ridge, South Dakota, and I start knocking some doors and meet some people. One of them, I meet a family, the Long Hill, that one of them, the big brother, is a police officer, and I start doing some trips with him inside the community for 12 hours at night, non-stop. And I thought, okay, maybe this is a good excuse for me to have a specific approach from the perspective of a police officer who really needs try to help and put some order and with their family, relatives, because they are all kind of have some relationship inside the community. So, and I realized that most of the problem that they have, it's not that easy for them to control, because there's only 23 police officers from more than, I don't know, 40,000 people, So, and they need sources, but the thing is, for me, it's the more heavy stuff is just to keep doing it. It's a lot of tedious in doing this work, because you can't quit, because they need you. And I thought it was really sad, really sad. And then I thought, just going back to your main question, should I contrast this kind of present day life in this community, in this specific north area in America, with some people that I know better, that is native from South America? And then I say, okay, why not? Just let's make it. Let's try. I don't really think in an intellectual way in my films. I just breathe the idea about some perfume or where it should go. It's more like doing some painting, I just start painting and then I see where the painting take me. And that's how I work with my crew and my actors. That's how I propose this film, the concept of this film to Chiara Mastroianni and to Viggo Mortensen and some professional actors from Brazil, like Danilo, and also to the non-professional actors that they have never has any experience, like Alaina or Sadie from South Dakota. And I think that's the best way for me to approach. It's more like ethnographic, some kind of way approach than cinematography, like in cinema approach. I don't even really like to write a lot the script, you know. I have some some ideas in order to put some organization for the crew and for us to handle the budget. But I really like to go there. I traveled there like in advance 4 or 5 years ago. We start shooting, and in this specific film we are talking about, it demands 10 years of my attention for different reasons, no? Because we shoot in 4 countries. There was a kind of 5 co-production, international co-production partners. So, and we get stopped like 2 or 3 times by the COVID pandemic, and it was difficult. Plus the weather conditions that I really want to shoot in winter time with the snow, and we try different things. I mean, at the beginning, I said before, at the beginning, I start talking with for example, for the role of who Sadie's plays is the basketball teacher, the girl. I start talking with Benicio del Toro in order to play that role at the beginning. But then things, people like to talk. So I talk and I why not? He's a cool guy. I really admire his work. And at the end, we wait for him and for the weather for a year. And he told me, Sandro, I don't know if I really want to do this character. I think you should try with someone from the region. And I think I was kind of disappointed at some point, but then I realized that he was right. And actually, I really thanks that kind of honesty from him, because I think she did it great, and probably in a more sensitive way than Benicio's work should be.
You know what? You're speaking to exactly where I was going to go with my next question, because I thought that Alaina and Sadie were fantastic in this film, and they really brought such a serious realism, to the struggles and the subjugation, alcoholism, poverty, crime that's pervasive on these reservations in America. And so one of the things that really impressed me were these long cinematic beats, especially where you have the camera pointed at Alaina in the car, where you can sense her frustration. And so I was wondering, for you as the filmmaker, when do you cut that off? When do you sense that it is the right moment to stop that scene, or do you do it in the editing bay?
Well, I try to do as much as I feel during the shooting, even if it was really like fucking freezing over there. It was 30 degrees below, and we have to wait for long shoots and preparation and everything. But out of jokes, I just sit in the editing room and I start trying to put myself in the character's position and try to be a witness and try to feel what she might be feeling at that time by playing the character. But it's not only playing, because it's a kind of a silly kind of border line, because of course she's playing, she's framed, she has microphones, and we are all around them, but she really knows how it feels. What the character is proposed. Actually, Alaina he was a real police officer for 4 years, so she's not creating or using her imagination. She knows how it feels, and we only show like 10% of what really it might be like a more dark into the bone situation. But I think she and Sadie really knows. I mean, all of them. We were shooting we were shooting for 16 days, and we spent 2 months, because we were not at all their priority. I mean, I'm just a guy from South America that really want to portray how it feels to be there. and put them in my desk. And if I lucky enough, I will put that kind of film in other platforms around the world by film festivals or cinematheques or whatever. But I think they all know how it feels to be there, you know, and nobody else can experience that. And I think that's was so important for me to just shoot with them in their place, in their weather, and not try to represent this kind of condition in Mexico in a set, you know, because for me it's I don't know, it's more than a film. It's just it's my life, you know. I spend a lot of time in this project, but in every project, and I really enjoy the experience. I mean, if my kids will ask me, okay, Dad, why you spent 10 years thinking about this film and with people that you don't even fucking know? And I will take my time and I will try to explain them why. And I think they, at the end, they will really understand my necessity or my curiosity about trying to understand who we are as a, you know, as humans. And if we can ask, or what kind of things we can ask for other people in order to be better fathers, mothers, lovers, brother, friends, whatever. One of the and always when I think we were shooting in US, no, especially in South Dakota, and if you travel 10 kilometers, the average of life is 70 years old. If you go to Nebraska, if you go back 10 kilometers back, the average of life is 50 years old. In only 10 kilometers, somebody lose 20 years of life, of knowing their grandchildren, of breathing, or no. So I think, okay, this is something to put in place, you know, for me to understand who we are and how people need to be assisted by someone who can assist them in somehow. In this case, government of US, I guess. And I thought it was interesting for me to search deep in that kind of situations. Sorry if I lose the way by talking, but I think
No, no,
everything
no, bravo.
related.
These are great answers. I mean, the film is such a brilliant film that I believe our audience wants to hear, what your thoughts were and what your ideas were. And so one question I also wanted to ask you was about the title Eureka and
Yeah.
how it pertained to that bird. What does that mean? What's your meaning behind that?
Well, I don't know if there is any kind of very strict meaning by that. If I had to, yeah, if I had to answer in a silly way, I will say in my previous film, I didn't find the title until 2 weeks before the Cannes Film Festival. So I don't want to pass through that again. So and I thought, okay, just one word, everybody will understand. It means some shining about some dark situation, to find a solution, to discover something. And I think if you give a chance to connect and feel what they feel, you will discover this moment of eureka and feel, okay, this is something to incorporate in my everyday life, you know. So how other people live, and if they need attention, if I can get attention from the ones that could give me some, because I think as a South American guy, there's a lot of people coming from Central America in order to get into the US thinking in the American dream, but the American dream is most of the time don't even get close by. I mean, I don't see any American dream in Pine Ridge Reservation. So I think it's vice versa. But and I don't have solutions. I mean, I don't think anyone has solutions. Maybe there's people who can help if they have the political push in order to change that kind of situation. It could take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to change that kind of reality. If they doesn't do that, it's because they don't want to. That's my
Understood,
conclusion.
understood,
Maybe it's my
understood.
conclusion. Probably I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
All right, so I'm gonna get back to the film, but I have to ask you this question because I know a lot of Argentinian filmmakers and people that live there and that come here because I'm based in New York, and I rarely get political in my interviews, and I don't really want to go too political here, but how is the film, the theater, the music and art community surviving under the new regime? I mean, how is that going down there?
Well, I think that's a great question. We are used to survive somehow, but this situation is getting really hard for us, because I think uh, we are always like surfacing different crises, economical, political, but this one is kind of different. I think it's going to be like a real big hit social thing. And I think this is just the beginning, we have to try to adapt to these new guy ideas for 3 more years. But I don't think if people is going to have 3 more years, if they don't, if the elders can buy medicine in the pharmacy because they don't
Okay.
have enough. So how we survive? Just being more creative. I mean, just when I start thinking about making films, we just were a bunch of new guys shooting like the Italian neorealism, like out of any structure. And I think sometimes it's good to have that kind of support crisis from receiving from the government, and because it pushes you to find new tools and new ways to use your sensibility as a filmmaker, or as a singer, or as a painter, or as a scientific, or as a actor, was a, I don't know, intellectual or whatever you want to be. So it's not just about film and film. It's everything is getting dark here in terms of any activity that it doesn't represent money for the government. It's killed, and I think that can be. I mean, if you are old, you are not useful. If you need to die, just die. So I think this is kind of difficult to just wake up every day to, being against that kind of in your face position by the governments. But I mean, I guess we need to survive 3 more years and we'll see. Who knows?
Okay, thank you for that response. I normally don't go there in these interviews, but I figured that you'd have the most enlightened perspective. Okay, so for my final question, and you kind of refer to the time and effort that you put in all of your projects. So I know you're just coming off Eureka after 10 years working on it. Do you have any idea of what you're going to do next? The next story you want to tell?
Yeah, I think I will be back in the direction of the first film I made. It's called Freedom. I think I want to be back with the Misael, who is the guy who plays the main character in the film, and I think I'm going to make a kind of sequel of him being in the same place after 30 years, and try to discover what's the new condition for him. He's a guy who worked with an axe in a forest, isolated from everyone. And I think I need to hug him again and go back to the main roads where I just start, and just forget about what is happening and co-producing outside of Argentina. I think I don't know about the rest, but I need to put the camera and microphones back near where I live. I mean, I've been traveling around, so I think it's good for me to just put some of my attention in our situation.
Bravo, excellent film. Thank you for your time, Lisandro. Great talking to you.
Thanks, man. Sure.